Hi everyone, welcome back to Northlight Photographic Workshops, and welcome to the first process video I've done in a little while. I'm not going to do anything terribly new in this video, but what I'm going to be doing is a gum over platinum print of a very small 4x4 image that I'm going to start offering through YouTube here to you and other viewers as a guide print in the gum over platinum process. I've been getting a lot of questions lately from people kind of wondering what a good print looks like and what's so different about a gum over palladium than just a palladium print in itself. So I hope that this will kind of show people that, those of you that want to order one. I've got this long-standing order or offer that's been out there for a digital negative and a print combo so that people can do the same thing. It's kind of a guide print for that. So I thought that I would do this for a gum over platinum, and that way give you a way to see it at a reasonable price. I mean, I have to charge a certain amount of money for them just because it takes me time to make each one. Anyway, it'll be a long-standing kind of a thing. It'll be a link that you can see below in the description, and I'll probably run it across the screen right now so that you can get this print. But as you can see here on the screen, this is the one that I've chosen. This is an image I made back in November. I was out in Yosemite National Park with my good friend Carrick Kuklis, and he and I have been teaching these or I've been assisting him really, but we've been co-teaching these workshops in gum over platinum process that I'm going to do with you here today. And this time, I went out as usual with my camera in the mornings and things to kind of photograph when I'm there doing the loop of the valley. And I came across this image this time, and I've photographed these three trees many times, and so have many photographers. But on this particular morning, there was this frost hanging there, and it was like a hoarfrost. It was a mist and a fog that was blowing through the valley real slowly, and it was leaving behind it this incredible icy covering of everything. And so this is when I made this image back in November, and I've just loved it. I've been having so much fun printing it, and I can only print a print so many times. How many things can I have in my flat files? And I've actually had a couple of nice commissions on this print, and I hope to make it, make a release of it in wider later on at some point. But for now, I think this is a really fun little print to make, and so therefore that's why I've decided to do it with this guide print. So this is the image that I've chosen here, and I've worked it up, and done a little bit of my special sauce to it, of which, there's other videos that I've got out there of how I do that, and I won't bore you with that on this one. But I did take this over now to Print Tool, and I've already sized it, as you can see here, ready to print. So what I'm going to be doing now is getting out a piece of clear film that I'm going to print on, and I'll print this negative, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make the palladium print first of it, and I'm going to do a couple of those. And I'll take you through the masking of it all, that kind of thing, and then I'm gonna I'll make that print, and then I've already turned on my sizing here, my gelatin sizing. I've got this ready to go here, but as you can see, it's just gelatin at this point, and I'm kind of heating it up right now so that it'll go back into liquid by the time I'm ready to use it. And we're gonna make that palladium print and dry them through. Then we're going to size it with the gelatin sizing that I just showed you. And then I'm going to print a gum layer of it. And in the end, we're going to have a really nice little print. And those will be the ones that I'll be putting up for offer. So in any event, stick with me and we'll have some fun doing this. Okay, so the way that I print these out is I use the front feeder on my printer. I've got a P800 printer Epson that I use for this. And what I've got here is a carrier sheet. You can see it's marked up right now. It's just so I know where to put the sheet on here, because I'm going to be putting a smaller sheet. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of Fixon's film that I'm using here. And I'll get this on here like this. And Just tape it down in the corners with some removable Scotch tape that I use. And then I'm ready to go, get into the printer. So as I said, I used the front loader here for this. And I'll load that sheet in. I'll be running this print here. So let's see, or this negative. I've got my thing set up for quad 800 here. I go down to my printer options, and I've got quad tone rip. I'm going to choose my LED curve that I've done before, and I'm going to run the print. Now what this does is it loads in flat from the back of the printer, and then what happens is it prints out without using any kind of rollers to push across the top of the film, so it doesn't leave pizza wheels or any kind of markings on the negative. I've gone ahead and I've masked this off, and as you can see, I've put this stuff called Rubylith around the edges. Now Rubylith is something that's been used in the printing industry for years, and it just helps you mask out certain areas that you don't want light to be hitting. And for me, I like to have a nice clean edge to my prints, as you've seen in other videos of mine and as you'll see pretty soon. And this helps me do that. I tend to mask off the paper when I'm doing the coating of the emulsion, as well as masking off the negative. And that way I stop any extraneous light from getting through and messing up my edges. I just like to have nice clean edges. Now a lot of people tend to have just very, just normal kind of raw borders with their paintbrush marks and things like that. And that's all well and good, but this is just the way that I like to do it. So I've got the negative all masked off and ready to go. It's time to take it here and coat the paper, and then we will put it into the exposure unit here, which is an LED exposure unit. I'm going to expose these for 4 minutes, is what my normal time is, and we'll do the first print. We'll see what happens. All right. So as you can see here, I've got the masking done quite well. It's a nice little square there. It will leave this borderless. I've got my Palladium mixed up, and my brush is now wet and ready to rock. And here we go. Just like to get a nice smooth coating. Great. So now I'll go over and rinse out my brush, and while that's happening, this will soak in a little bit more. Okay, set that down, that aside. And now you can see when I peel off my masking how it leaves this nice, perfect, clean edge. The good part about this is where there's no emulsion coated, you're not going to get any spillover, any image print. So it gives you a nice clean edge. See that? All right. So I'm going to dry this out. We're going to put the negative together with this. We're going to put it over into the plate burner. And we're going to make a nice little print. Okay. So there. I've got it nicely dried. And nicely dried, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over here on the light table once again, and we are this time going to take, and then we're going to take the negative and put it on top of here on the light table so that I know that I'm covering my emulsion. There we go. Tape it down a little bit there on the edge, and we're ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over here to the plate burner, and we're going to get it exposed. Time to get it into the burner. Turn it on, and now we'll let it cook there for its 4 minutes. So stick with me here. Take you over to the sink. We'll process it, and we'll see what our results are. Okay, so you can see I've got my exposure made now. And it's time to process this out. And I'm going to be using potassium oxalate to develop this, like always. With this process, you're seeing me do this right now. I've got all kinds of videos on YouTube right now. So I'll try to leave some of them linked. I don't know how it works anymore. Maybe they're linked up here. Maybe it's linked down below. But I'll leave you a link to the playlist for all of my platinum, palladium, and printing playlists and things like that. So let's go. See how this works. Get on there. I'm just going to pour the developer right on top real fast. Whoa, there it is. Beautiful. All right, that looks good. That looks real good. I'm happy with that. So, as you can see, it's quite a gorgeous little print. Bring that up over here and show you. So what I'm going to be doing with this now is I'll run it through its normal clearing and wash, just like I would with any normal print. It's going to take like 10 minutes in each bath here. And then I'll wash it, I'm going to dry it, and then I'll come back to you and we're going to size this paper, and then again let it dry, and then we'll be coating it with a gum layer and making a new exposure with the same negative. And you'll get to see what it looks like. I mean, it really, my idea of this is that a straight palladium print doesn't look finished anymore once you've seen it done as a gum over. So stick with me. I'm going to run these through all of the baths here, give it a good wash and a dry, and then I'll come back to you and we'll finish this out. Okay, so we're now at the point where we've got our print, our just straight palladium print, nice and washed and dried and ready to go. So what we have to do now, you saw earlier where I had my sizing. It's now not a jello anymore, as you can see. It's heated up and it's ready to go. So what I've got to do is I'm going to coat this paper with that sizing. And what that's going to do is it's going to seal the paper and seal the fibers of the paper so that when I go and I lay my next coat down of gum arabic mixed with pigment and ammonium dichromate, it will be sealed and it won't soak into the paper and stain the paper. Now, in this part of the process too, just before I get into the next process, part of the process is where I'm going to be mixing pigment with gum arabic and some ammonium dichromate, and then it once again will be light sensitive. And I will again coat this paper with the pigment after the sizing is done and dried, and then I'll make another exposure by registering the negative back on top of this and exposing it again and developing it. But right now, before we get to that point, we've got to do our sizing. So what I need is a little bit of formaldehyde. I use formaldehyde as a hardener. And then I'm going to use a, excuse me, then I'm going to use a coating rod such as this to coat this across the paper and to seal the paper in. Now, let me get a small beaker to do this with. I like to use a small beaker to do this in. I'll mix out a little bit of the gelatin. And I'll take and I'll put in a couple of drops of formaldehyde, seal that up good, mix it real good. Now, what you're going to do here is pour it along, and then you can see I'll drag that across and cover the print nicely. And I like to actually cover the whole paper. And then I drag it off to the end like that. And the same there. And now I'm ready to go. And then this I'm going to take, dry out, and then once again I'll come back to you and we'll put the pigment layer on. All right, stick with me. Well, now we've got a dried, sized print, and we're ready to coat it with our pigment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this off the same that I do with the regular print. I'm going to mask off this area so that I don't have any spillover and I keep my nice clean edge. And once I've got that done, then I'm going to mix up some pigment in this little film vial along with some gum arabic and a little bit of ammonium dichromate. I'm going to mix that up and we're going to put it on the print. So stick with me here. We're gonna get this done first. Actually, my glasses. All right. Okay, so we've got that all set, masked nicely. I'm going to put it down here off to the side. We are going to now mix up our pigment. Now, I like to use a mixture of like a French ochre and so in here I've got a bit of gum arabic, a bit of a pigment, a watercolor pigment. I'm going to mix it up in here. But I want to add a little bit of another color in there. I've got kind of a warm brownish that I'm going to drop in there. There we go. Let's mix that color up a bit. Nice. See that down in there? Now, I'm going to take an equal amount of a 30% solution of ammonium dichromate here. There we go. Now we're going to mix this up nice. Okay, now you'll see I use these rollers to roll it on. I usually keep one dry and one with the pigment. So we're going to pour that out here. I'm going to pull a little bit onto my roller, and then we're going to roll it into the print. Now I'm rolling it just into the print area. And you can see this is kind of splotchy, right? Now what I'm going to need to do is go over this with another roller, a slightly drier roller, and that smooths it out nicely. Yeah, real nice. Okay, so once again, I'm going to peel off my masking. And sometimes I get some bleed over underneath. You'll see that here. I'll show you once I get it. You can see some bleed over on the edges here. Now that's okay, because when I use the Rubylith to mask this off with the negative, it doesn't expose any light through there, and therefore when this washes out, it washes out of the areas where there hasn't been any light, so that border area will clear out. So yeah, so this is good. You can see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry for about 15-20 minutes, and then I'm going to come back to you. We're going to take the original negative, put it on here and register it into place, put it back inside the contact printing frame, and we're going to make another exposure on it, and then we'll develop it out. Now when we develop this out, we just develop that out with warm water. So stick with me here. Okay. So our pigment and gum layer on here is dry now. It's time to take the negative, register it back on here, and then expose it again. So we bring it over here, and I like to put it back down on the light table again, and I can take, ooh, I hit it right away. I can take and register the image on there. Now the smaller prints that I'm doing, it's easier to do this. If I was doing something quite large, I might want to use some registration pins, but for a print like this, this is perfect. Okay, so there I have it. Time to take it over here. We're going to put it down into the contact printing frame. And it's time to take and put this back into the plate burner for another few minutes. I'm going to do it probably 3 more minutes. Okay, so our exposure has been made, and it's time to wash out the unused gelatin out of this. Now what happens in this process? The gelatin becomes light sensitive when it mixes in with the ammonium dichromate. And then you put it on the paper, you expose it just like you would something else. Now this is a very thinly veiled kind of an image. It wouldn't be enough to make a real crisp image if I wasn't having the palladium on the base. But what this is going to do is it's going to add a veil of tonality to it and color to it that's going to give it some extra depth. So what I want to do is I'm just developing it in lukewarm water. So I'm going to bring it over here now, and I'm going to go face down into the bath and make sure that there's no bubbles underneath it. And then I'm just going to rock it back and forth a little bit just to make sure that I get contact with all of the emulsion on there. So now what it's doing is it's starting to leach out. Anything that's been struck by light and hardened will stay in place, whereas things that were in the shadow parts or the shadow parts of the negative, they will wash out. And so what's going to happen is it's going to leave color in certain areas, and it's not going to leave a lot of color in others. So hard to explain, but in the long run, it's going to add a lot of depth and color, and basically, the way I see it, some life, a lot more life to the print. So I like to let it sit in there for a little bit. Now what's happening at this point is a lot of the dichromate is washing out. And now what I'm going to do is flip it over here and give you a sense of what's happening. So you can see, I'm sure that you can see a little bit of yellow clouding around here. Now that's the dichromate that's coming out of the image. So I like to get more of that out. Let's just let it go for a little while longer. Now what you can see is that now that it is washing out, it's leaving some really nice color and tonality, like I say, like toning the image quite nicely. So let's get that back in there. Now this is kind of a hit or miss part of the process. You just have to do it by eye and by what you like. I mean, I can't give anybody any specific times that work. Sometimes it works better if the water's warmer, if it's cooler, that kind of thing. You just have to learn. But again, I'm just doing this to make guide prints for people that are interested in seeing them, so you know kind of what to expect in your own process at home. Yeah, it's really starting to look nice, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to rinse it and put it into another bath here pretty soon, just to kind of clear it a little bit more. And then once again, I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to show you the finished print. So thanks for sticking with me through all of this. I know it's quite a long process to do, but it's very rewarding and very satisfying. And I know that a lot of you out there have been doing this on your own, because I've been seeing some of your success letters and things. So I'm really glad that people are interested in doing this. Now there's all kinds of other things that you can use as well, and going over, like if I was doing this process, I might want to put a layer of cyanotype over it first, and then come into it with the sizing and then the gum. So there's really, the sky's the limit on this kind of thing. So anyway, show you this little print here. It's looking really beautiful. And I am going to wash it out now, and then dry it, and then I'll come back to you and we'll talk a little bit about it, and I'll show you how to get a copy of your own if you'd like. Another thing that I've decided to do throughout the course of doing this is to let those of you that want to see the difference between the two, I'm going to make an offer of 2 prints that'll come in one, a little bit more money, but you'll get a straight Palladium print, and then you'll also get a gum over print with it, so you can see the two of them side by side. So, you know, you can either order just the gum print, or you can order the Palladium print with the gum print. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Well, here we go. It's all nice and dry and ready to go. I'm going to trim the paper down a little bit before I let them go out of here, but this is a pretty nice little guide print, and I really, really had a lot of fun printing it. Thanks for sticking with me while I got that done. As you can see, you know, one of these prints can take you more than a couple hours to make, but you know, once you're in the groove of it, it's a lot of fun to do them, and it's so rewarding and satisfying. So again, I'm going to leave a link below in the video here where you'll be able to order one of these as a guide print to use in your own darkroom when you're printing. It'll give you an idea what to expect and what to look for. Again, like I said, as an added little bonus, what I'm going to do is if you want to order the two prints together, it'll be a little more expensive, but you'll get just a straight Palladium version of this print, and you'll get one of these gum over versions of it. And so you can see yourself, you know, what could be done with it. Now, again, I'm just going with one color on this. You can do many colors, and you know, you can adjust the exposure. You can even work with multiple negatives if you want. But this will give you a good idea what to expect in the process when you're doing it yourself. Now, what I'd really love to do is to have you up here for one of my workshops. And if you get on my subscription list through my website, you'll get newsletters about those kind of things. I'll be doing another one up here in the springtime. I'm doing this in early 2024 or 2025. So I'll be doing one probably here in the spring. I'm also going to be teaching one down in Asheville at Mountain Intaglio Studios in Asheville, North Carolina. But as far as I know, that workshop sold out already. So you can probably still get on a waiting list for that one. But anyway, I know that you can do this at home on your own. It'd be nice to have you for a workshop. But if you're not able to come for a workshop and you want to see what it is that you should be getting and what you might expect, you know, I highly encourage you to pick up one of these little guide prints, because it will give you some idea of where you're going with your own work. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching. A couple other things that are available now. Got to talk about my merch, right? I've been putting out these little shot glasses now. One of them is the Palladium element symbol, and it's got the little Northlight Photographic Workshops on the bottom of it. And the other one is my little what do I call it? My little motto right now is "I print, therefore I am." It's the same with Northlight Photographic Workshops on the bottom of it. And anyway, they don't cost very much. They're fun for me to package up and ship out, and you know, always good to have these in an alternative process darkroom. And you can always drink shots out of it too, but I wouldn't do the shots after you've used them for chemistry. So there you go. Thanks a lot. Look for the links below. I really appreciate your time. It's been a lot of fun. I really like doing these, and look for more real soon. All right? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.